Hey, SOLI holders, this is Crane, the host of the Inside Crypto podcast. I hope you are doing well. I am not doing well because I just got diagnosed with COVID on Monday, which is why my voice sounds weird. And today's video might be a little bit choppy because, of course, I'm going to cut out all the segments where you see me coughing or sneezing or something like that. So I apologize for that. So that is pretty much it. Let's get started. So today we have a few stories, but before we jump into that, let's go into our TLDR. One of the first things you're going to see on our TLDR today is the Coinbase roadmap. So roadmaps are usually things that organizations have to say, okay, this is what is going to happen in the future. They're very common in crypto organizations because usually crypto is so fast moving. You want to see what is happening. That's one of the criteria that you want to evaluate when you're looking into a project or a company in the space. You're like, what are they doing? What are they going to do in the future? What is the plan ahead? And so today's story reflects on Solana in general, is that Coinbase released a roadmap indicating that they will be supporting a bunch of different Solana tokens in the future, onboarding them into Coinbase with the trading pairs. So you should be able to buy your Tulip or other Solana-based tokens on Coinbase. So our next story is concentrated liquidity. And you're probably thinking, are we talking about concentrated liquidity again? And yes, unfortunately we are, because Raydium has released concentrated liquidity pools on Raydium, which means, again, for those of you who don't remember, go back and listen to previous episodes, that you'll be able to more efficiently deploy your capital on Raydium if you are a Raydium user due to concentrated liquidity and the technology. The next thing we talk about is integrations. Integrations are always happening in the crypto community. Today we're going to be talking about Solend and Squats protocol. In my opinion, I might be totally wrong, very similar to Streamflow, and we had Malaysia, the CEO of Streamflow, on a while ago. And so Streamflow and a Squats protocol is like a treasury management multi-sig wallet style site or protocol where you get to manage your money and utilize your protocol's money. It could be like a DAO money or NFT platforms money or something like that. And Squats protocol allows you to, now with the integration with Solend, is that you can lend your money and gain some interest from that. You can borrow some money with your DAO's treasury as collateral. So again, integration is always good, especially in a bear market when the market's been moving sideways most of the time. It just gives you more opportunities, more options. So that's fantastic. The next thing we're going to talk about is unique listings. So Orca released their community listings beta. So what that means is that now it's permissionless, because as much as people want to say Solana is centralized, a lot of Solana protocols like Orca are moving to decentralized permissionless solutions. So one of the cool things you can do on Orca is you can now create your own trading pairs on Orca. And for example, when the hack for Mango happened this past month, of course, what happened was Mango Inu, I don't want to say that word, but blah, blah coin, right? So you could create your own Mango Inu coin and USDC on there, and you could start this trading pair. You don't have to worry about rules, anything like that. I think, of course, there are some rules, but I think that is really cool. The last thing we're going to talk about today is reimbursements, because as I just mentioned before, Mango was hacked or exploited this month. This, again, entirely depends on you. Decide what is the term for that. Some of the money was returned, but again, people still argue about it. I think it was a hack. Some people said it was just a trading scheme. Some people said it was an exploit. That is maybe for smarter people than us to decide. So as usual, we are looking at our SOLI token now that we are done with the TLDR. SOLI's current price is $1.61. It is down 6.74% in the last week. And of course, right, because of Mango and because of what happened there, we should have seen that coming. I will come back and have a look at that. So as you can see, the current constituents of SOLI are Serum, mSOL, all the way down to Oxygen Protocol. Tulip and Aldrin are no longer in there for the moment. Please keep that in mind. And then, as you can imagine, we'll be rebalancing next week, Tuesday, Wednesday. All right, there we go. And there's the 1 month data. So as we can see in a month, right after the hacks happened, Solana's price has gone down. So now if you're holding SOLI compared to mSOL, SOLI definitely performing better towards the tail end of this month. Let's try Raydium. If you're holding, again, SOLI performing better than Raydium. So there we go right there. And now let's move on to our Solana TVL Defilama story. So currently Solana's TVL is $894 million, down 1.14% in the last 24 hours. Solend is 27.75% dominant. Man, I wish I could easily recall last time's episode, but I'm pretty sure Solend was not a number one. But good to see that they have all this TVL in there. And then we have Marinade number 2, 216 million. And then we have Lido number 3, and Lido across a few different platforms. Raydium number 4, Serum number 5, Tulip, Orca, Quarry, Saber, and Swim Protocol is new. And they're in the cross-chain category. I wonder who they are. But they're already up $37 million. That is pretty good as far as TVL goes. All right, guys. So as usual, we have a video today. Today is with the chief economist of Yahoo Finance, Nurul Rubini. He was on the news earlier, was it this week or towards the end of last week, talking about the global economy. And why I wanted to include this news is because people tend to think about crypto in a vacuum. Crypto is just crypto. Nothing else affects it. When hacks happen, of course, they affect it, but nothing macroeconomic affects it, right? So it's supposed to be when inflation goes up, crypto should go up. But as anyone who's been in the space in the last 1.5 years, 1 year knows, crypto has been highly correlated with equities for the last 1 year. So when the stock market's gone down, crypto has gone down. When bad things happen, crypto has gone down. I think it's important for you guys, no matter where you are, again, not financial advice, to look at macroeconomic news, understand what people are expecting to happen in the next 6 months to 12 months, and yeah, just take it in and make sure you understand it when you are deploying your capital moving into the next 1 year or so. And as usual, the video is about 2 minutes long. I believe it is 2 minutes long. So you can skip ahead if you do not wish to watch it. If you want to listen, go ahead. And then we'll go on to our first story, which is about Marinade Finance.
Is the picture right now really that bad?
Well, I just spent the last few days in Washington for the annual meetings of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. And there are people literally starting to talk about the risk of World War III, literally, because we are in a geopolitical depression. One of the many mega threats in the book is one that we have now a confrontation between US and the West on one side, and a number of revisionist powers. It's not just Russia, it's China, it's Iran, North Korea, and even Pakistan, effectively as an ally. They're essentially challenging the economic, social, and geopolitical order that the US and Europe and the West created after World War II. We have a Cold War, and there's a chapter of the book about the new Cold War, but the risk right now that this Cold War eventually ends up into a hot war. There's already a hot war in Russia and Ukraine. This conflict can escalate and get NATO, the US, and allies involved. It's a risk. Russia is seriously threatening using tactical nuclear weapons. The negotiations between the US and Iran on the nuclear deal are not going anywhere. And Israel is saying if they're going to become nuclear and they're one step away from it, we're going to attack them. We'll have another major shock. And look what's happening between US and China on the South and East China Sea and Taiwan and so on. We are also, unfortunately, on a collision course with China. So right now is a Cold War. It's getting colder, and the economic consequences are severe. Deglobalization, decoupling, fragmentation of the global economy, deglobalization, balkanization of global supply chains, trade in goods, in services, in movement of labor, capital, technology, data, information is going to be split. We're a divided world, and there's going to be a world in which there will be more inflation, less economic growth, because instead of producing the most efficient parts of the world, we're now talking about friendshoring, about secure trade rather than free trade.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. Today's first story is about Marinade. One thing I do want to mention before we get into the news part of today's show is that I have fully implemented the idea of not covering a protocol if there's no news. Or like Atlas USV, and again, it's not their fault. There's no news for them. Serum is another protocol that has not had news for a while. Their last piece of news was in the end of September. And as someone who's heavily involved in social media in my previous job and a little bit in this job, I think not doing anything on Twitter or other social media is a cardinal sin. But again, that's just my opinion. We actually don't have too many news stories. We're going to go through them. If you want me to cover just general Solana news, I can start doing that. But what I'm also trying to do as well, and this is with my new coworker Alexis's advice, is cutting down on the length of these episodes, because the old goal was 20 minutes. Now we're going to see how low we can get it down, okay? All right, so it says, catch up on the latest dishes served up last week. Coinbase Assets announces MNDE mSOL on listings roadmap. So exactly what we talked about in our TLDR. That means at some point in the future, you'll be able to trade MNDE mSOL on Coinbase, which is really good for everyone living in America. And hopefully once Coinbase expands their offerings to other countries, that will be good for us too. SOL validated gauges going up to 15% of stake pool. Proposal 22 regarding removal of Lifinity IO gauge passes. And this is the graphic over there. Let's move on to the next story, which is latest MNDE liquidity mining cycle is live. The return to treasury allocation dropped by 12% from last week. Don't see your favorite pool? Vote for it with your Chef NFTs and MDAO governance. If you don't know what those NFTs are, go back again quite a few episodes ago. Those are one of the coolest NFTs they are. I was so impressed when they released them. They were basically based on the amount of MND you had, and you could get an NFT and people resold them. That's pretty cool. So you can put your mSOL here to use, so you can buy your own mSOL. And again, these are some good liquidity mining allocations, and definitely something you should think about if you're into liquidity mining. All right, let's move on to Raydium now. This is where we talk about concentrated pools, right? Concentrated liquidity for increased capital efficiency. Learn more. I thought about showing it to you guys, but we've had so many concentrated liquidity stories in the last 1 month or so that I think it'll drive me bonkers and you bonkers as well. So these are the pools, right? The liquidity at the moment is not a huge amount of liquidity. Of course, stable coins are really popular in a bear market, so that makes sense. And these are all like the typical strong favorite Solana pairs. The APRs are really good here, and definitely something for you to think about if you are holding any of these tokens. Concentrated liquidity is definitely something anybody should be trying to use if they have the ability to do so. Okay, and let's move on to Squads Protocol and Solend. So this Solana protocol app has arrived. Connect your multisig to the best lending protocol on Solana and lend, borrow, and supply liquidity to pools using assets from your Squad vault. As I said in the TLDR, so there's a Squads protocol over there. I thought I had followed them. The multisig standard you were looking for on Solana. Okay, so a different kind of managing your company's or organization's money standard. And then Squads explains it. Solend is one of the first fee apps we have integrated into our apps section within Squads. With Squads apps, you're able to interact with the dApps and protocols on Solana with your multisig and directly from your interface. So again, we've sort of seen this moving forward, that Solana or a lot of Solana apps are moving into this sort of iOS App Store interface where you can do everything in one window instead of having multiple windows open that you're forced to do everything with. All right, and then it says to learn about more about all things Solend at solend.fi. Okay, so we can talk about that here. And then Hawkside, of course, is asking when they're going to do Hawkside. We've talked about Hawkside before, again, on a Polygon episode, I believe. Let's move on to the Orca's community listings beta. So it says, ever want to list a new token on Orca or launch a new pool with an exotic token pair? Well, have no fear, podmates, for the community listings beta is here. Until now, only tech-savvy Orca users have been able to list new token pools by interacting directly with Orca's smart contracts or SDK. SDK is Software Development Kit, but as part of Orca's mission to create an open and decentralized protocol, pool creation will soon be possible for many more podmates. Orca currently has over 70 tokens listed in the community listings beta. Users will be able to create pools using any SPL, is a Solana token listed on CoinGecko. Over 500, so a lot of weird projects like Mango, Inu, and other stuff there. Orca users will be able to submit tokens that are not on CoinGecko to the Orca token list to be vetted for suitability. So there is still some sort of centralization. If you're submitting something that's really out of there, Orca still has to approve it. So this explains how to list an Orca token. Select the tokens. Tokens already listed on the Orca list, you can submit them. In the next step, you can set the parameters for your new pool. The initial price, the price range you'll support with your liquidity, and the fees you will earn from traders. With the recent rollout of fee tiers on Orca, you can choose how much you want to charge traders to use your new pool. 0.01%, 0.05%, all the way up to 1%. This gives LPs, liquidity providers, more optionality, driving more competition and delivering greater capital efficiency for all users. So there's the example of right there. That's pretty cool. When listing a new pool, an initial price and range based on current market data will be pre-populated where possible, but you can easily customize these to your specifications by altering values in the boxes yourself. Step 3, preview the pool. So initial price range, right? So this is like concentrated liquidity as well. The fees that you're going to charge, the amount of liquidity at the moment. Creating a pool requires allocating a lot of space on the blockchain. As a result, the Solana network fees for this transaction will be higher than a standard transaction. 0.15, so that would be about $2. That's not bad. Orca's UI will soon automatically display a sensible token ordering based on frequently used quote tokens. For example, the price of a hypothetical token XYZ that is worth 10 USDC would be coded as 10 USDC per 1 XYZ instead of 0.1. Okay, your whirlpool is live. Nice. This is very useful. If you're launching a GameFi project and you want people to be able to trade whatever your GameFi token is, you could get listed on Orca and then people can start trading it. As I was saying, one of the really good examples is Sunflower, one of the games I've talked about on the show before, where we were earning SFL, which is the game's in-game currency. But if you wanted to cash out your SFL and convert that to USDT or something else, you couldn't. And it took about a few months, and I think this is a really good advantage for Solana because there are quite a few GameFi projects on Solana, and this will make it easier for their users to cash out if they do need to cash out. All right, let's move on to our next story. So this relates to the Mango exploit or hack. UXD protocol has had a total exposure of almost $20 million at Mango markets. It says their insurance fund had more than enough capital to cover losses. UXD is 100% backed, and users will be able to redeem once Mango markets recovers from the exploit. We're going to talk about that just now. The insurance fund has a total of $53 million. That's really good. UXD protocol has paused minting of UXD temporarily to minimize risk. Once we are confident that the issue with Mango markets is resolved, we will re-enable minting. In the meantime, users can swap UXD for USDC at Jupiter Exchange. There's enough liquidity for UXD holders to swap for USDC at par value. Nice. UXD protocol will continue to work closely with Mango markets to resume mint redeem of UXD. Once the Mango markets resumes trading, the status of our insurance fund will be updated in this thread. Okay, so UXD's handled the situation with Mango markets very well. Very interesting. Let's move on to our second to last story. This is about Jet Protocol. Remember, we had the founder of Jet Protocol on our Twitter Spaces MA. And if you didn't catch the episode, you can definitely listen to it. So this is a cool article from earlier this month. It says Ticket to Ride, Building Continuous Fixed-Term Decentralized Debt Markets. October 14th, 2022. This is the first of two articles on a new unprecedented form of decentralized lending borrowing, introducing fixed-term bond tickets. So it says debt markets are huge, complex, and constantly changing. Wall Street has invented numerous structured vehicles, allowing financial wizards to make, facilitate, slice, dice, package, sell, resell, and bet on loans. All right, so this talks about the introduction. So it says all of this leads us to an interesting corner of the fixed income market, representing an elegant solution to lending borrowing protocol limitations. Of all the myriad instruments brought about under the rubric of traditional finance, there's a singularly fundamental essential debt security, the zero coupon bond, also sometimes called an accrual bond. All right, so again, I'm not going to read all of this because this is fairly complex and thick. I'll let you guys read it. For example, a bond with a face amount of $20,000 that matures in 20 years with a 5.5% yield may be purchased for roughly $6,855. At the end of the 20 years, the investor will receive $20,000. The difference between the $20,000 and the $6,855, or $13,145, represents the interest that compounds automatically until the bond matures. Because ZCBs don't pay regular interest, their value added is derived from the difference between purchase price and full face value paid at maturity. In the context of tickets, how much would someone pay for a bond that gets issued upon an option being exercised? It's exactly equal to the price of the would-be bond. Otherwise, it would be possible for arbitrageurs to lock in risk-free profit via offsetting positions in bonds and tickets. Jet took the mechanics of options markets and key attributes of ZCBs and combined them with the elements of tokenization, taking something non-fungible fixed-term debt and opening the door for a decentralized market that truly takes DeFi to the next level and beyond. In the next article, we'll further unpack our new instrument and examine what a market for tickets is going to look like. So this is cool. So potentially they're doing like a crypto version of ZCBs. And I'm sure James mentioned that when we had the Twitter Spaces, but that's cool. So hopefully, I'm pretty sure we'll have a chance to cover the second part of this article later. Let's move on to our last story for today. So our last story for today is about Mango, of course. It says the Mango V3 redemption website is up. Depositors can claim their redemptions according to the calculations of the DAO proposal passed 2 days ago. If you had deposits in Mango, then please go here, redeem.mango.markets. The program for depositors to recover funds is in audit. Okay, so this is already done. This talks about the proposals. Okay. The reimbursement code is open source. You can check out the code yourself if you're somebody who's into that. 67 million in various crypto assets have been returned to the DAO. So we know the guy, the very public guy who did this to Mango, returned some of the money. He kept a lot of it, which is still crazy because usually white hacker fees, I remember something along the lines of 10% or something like that. And this is it, guys. So not a lot going on. Mango's recovering, Solana is going forward, but anyway. So this is today's SOLI video. So yeah, this week, Friday, we will have an episode with Andrew Beal. He used to be the blockchain lead at Ernst & Young. He is now one of the key leaders of Forte Network, which is a security solution. They protect some of the big players in DeFi like Instadap and Balancer. And I had a really cool episode with him. He explained a lot of nice things about security, especially if you're worried about hacks and what happened with Solana. It's definitely a podcast to listen to. That will air Friday morning EST as usual. And then, yep, hopefully I will be back next week. My quarantine will be over next week, Monday, and hopefully my voice will be better. But anyway, guys, we will talk later. And again, thanks for your understanding, and I will see you next week.